Okay. Don't botch the start. Get a clean clip in. Okay. Woot woot. Alright, welcome back. As promised, this is the Masters 35-45 plus race from the Charlottesville crit. This took place about an hour after the 4-5 race. I posted the 4-5 race video on my channel a few days ago, so if you want to go see that, the link will be in the description. Now, the 4-5 race was pretty much a disaster and it did not go to plan at all. I basically ended up riding solo for about 15 or 16 minutes in that race. I think I normalized about 294 watts, and my FTP being 276, that was probably close to a maximal effort. Either way, this is my second race of the day. This is my first time racing 2 races in one day, so I was actually really curious to see how my legs would respond. So we'll see how it goes. Oh, and this is also my first time doing any type of Masters race. After being really frustrated about being pulled from the 4-5 race earlier in the day, I really wanted some sort of redemption, so I definitely wanted to finish the race. I definitely did want a good result, but yeah, let's hop into the race and take a look at some of the footage. Now, this race, much like any other race, starts out pretty fast. I am perfectly content with tailgunning, which is basically hanging off the back of the pack. I don't do it perfectly, but I'm getting better at it. You can ride pretty efficiently if you tailgun properly, but as I get more experienced, I'm probably going to try to stay closer to the front of the field to avoid that washing machine effect that could potentially happen if you're tailgunning or if you're in the back of the pack. And probably the biggest disadvantage of tailgunning is that you are not near the front of the race, so you can't actually see any moves that go, and you can't cover any attacks, so that is something to consider. Alright, this is lap 5 out of 29 in the race. There were a couple guys who crashed after the hairpin turn, so unfortunately I expend a little bit of energy to sprint across this gap. I stop pedaling well before I catch onto this guy's wheel in front of me. I smoothly go through corner 2, and now I'm back on his wheel. I pedal for maybe 5 seconds, and then I'm able to draft all the way through corner 3. I don't touch the pedals at all. I let a small gap open up because I know corner 4 I'm going to be able to roll up back on his wheel as well. So this is kind of the essence of tailgunning, where you let a small gap open up through corners so that you don't have to touch any brakes. You can conserve a little bit of energy by pedaling less. And I'm not claiming to be an expert at any of this, and I'm basically learning on the go as well. But there are a few moments in this race where I tailgun well, and then there are a couple moments where I don't take corners very well, and I have to scrub a lot of speed, and then it ends up in me wasting energy out of the corner. So I'll show you a few of the good corners, and then I'll show you a few of the not so good ones. Alright, and here we are at the start of lap 6. This is the hairpin turn, so I let a big gap open up. I take the turn on my own terms, carry a lot of speed, and yes, I do sprint a little bit out of the corner, but I'm able to make up maybe 4 or 5 wheels here. I'm including this next short clip because this is what could potentially happen if you try to pedal through a turn.
Oh, you good?
I think you can hear me. It freaked me out a little bit, but thankfully his pedal strike wasn't so bad, so we carry on. So this is lap 10 in the race. There are definitely plenty of bad corners that I could have chosen from, but this was probably one of the worst. We come through corner 3 here, and I'm carrying more speed than the guys in front of me, so I veer off to the right to set up to take the inside line, but then I get really indecisive. I scrub a lot of speed here, and then the speed differential is not in my favor, so these guys on my left basically launch through this corner, and I have to put out big watts in order to even try to hold the wheel here. If I had been more decisive about either hanging back or taking that inside line confidently, I definitely would have saved some energy here. So I'm hoping going back and analyzing these types of things will help me improve on my racing and my cornering, and hopefully help me get better results in the future. And during any given race, there are so many decisions that you have to make on the fly, and hopefully those things will come more naturally to me as I race more. Okay, so we jumped ahead. This is about 3.5 laps remaining in the race. The thing that I want to focus on is all about positioning. I was in the back half of the pack pretty much the entire race, but now with only 3 short laps to go, I want to make a move and I want to get into position so that I have a chance to contend for a good result. And like I mentioned before, even though the race was pretty hard, I was feeling pretty good at this point still. So after we go through corner 4 and after we go up the kicker, I see that everything starts to slow up. You can kind of see the field stretching out a little bit width-wise. So it balloons up here and I take the inside line. I do have to put a little bit of power out, but I make up a ton of wheels here, so all of a sudden I'm in the mix now. Since these laps are pretty short, I'll let it play out and we'll take a look at what I could have done better. So we're coming up on 3 laps to go. I'm taking this hairpin turn on the inside line for probably the first time the entire race, but it works out okay. And it looks like I'm 7th wheel here now. So I remember thinking during the race that I'm in a great position. So now it's a matter of holding this position till the end of the race. As we're watching this back, if you are curious about the full race, I did post that video on my channel as well. That link will be in the description. So right here, coming around the last corner, there is an espresso cycle coaching rider right in front of me. He puts down some power here, and I'm pretty sure he is working with a teammate who's up in the front. And this was the moment where I got too complacent, and I definitely should have followed his wheel. But I don't go with him, and instead what happens is I start to get swarmed. So there are people coming up on the left. There are also people coming up on the right side, but I'm also boxed in on the right. And then all of a sudden the tension feels high and we are coming up to the hairpin turn, and I know that I haven't taken this hairpin turn in the middle of the pack for the entire race up to this point. So I don't know, I think it was just maybe cold feet, just maybe wanting to play it a little bit too safely. But before the turn I lost maybe 10, 11, 12 wheels, and then around the hairpin turn I think I lose a couple more. And then now, in a span of about 15 seconds, I've moved from 6th or 7th wheel all the way back to 20-something. And you'll see for the rest of the race, I think I'm pretty complacent in general, because I don't really move up any wheels, I don't make any concerted efforts to do so. At this point in the race, I think I was thinking conserve, conserve, conserve still, even though with only a lap and a half or 2 laps left, it's probably well worth it to spend my energy to get into a better position. So yeah, it seems like positioning is probably one of the most important things at the end here. But yeah, like I said, I'm learning as I race, and I guess I can be happy with the fact that I had enough fitness to last the entire race, but moving on. Now I don't hit 1,000 watts, but I am able to sustain 800 to 900 or so for the final stretch, which is, I guess, not bad after a hard race.
terrible.
Yeah, you can hear me say terrible at the end of the race. That's referring to the fact that I was in great position, and then I lost that position, and then I was in bad position, and I left myself with way too much energy at the end of the race. So I will be sure to do my best to correct that next time. Just wait and see. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please subscribe if you like the content, and I do have one more race from this Charlottesville weekend, which was the Jefferson Cup road race, and I'll try to get that video out as quickly as possible. There was some interesting team dynamics in that. Alright, see you later.